I'd just like to understand something, okay? We know that the Eastern Conference has been incomparably weaker than the West for the better part of the last 2 decades, right? I mean, this is an issue that we've all been harping on for years, and it's an issue that the NBA has chosen to ignore for years. But this summer, finally, it was at least partially acknowledged, meaning Adam Silver released a statement that essentially said, though we recognize this major flaw in the system, the league will still not even consider fixing this issue and checking the balance of power between the 2 conferences, or even consider any potential solutions at this moment. Yes, they decided to leave us with just that little twinge of hope for the future. So now, that incessant doubt that we feel that any change is ever going to come, it'll still linger in the background, but at the same time, we're going to have to grapple with our expectations to avoid even stronger yearly disappointment, like tenfold the amount of disappointment. And then Silver cites travel problems as the primary obstacle, which was just so fucking laughable for me, because when has the league ever shown any concern for that in the past? I'll credit that the scheduling has been decently sorted out this offseason at last, but last year the league didn't seem too worried about travel. Many teams have fallen victim to the scheduling, and the Warriors were given the toughest one of all. If you remember, all those insane weeks last season with the back-to-backs on the road, 3 games in 4 nights. And then Adam Silver mentions, quote, the notion of having teams crisscrossing the country in the first round didn't seem to make sense, which basically certifies this excuse as a load of bullshit for me, considering how spread out games in the playoffs are compared to the regular season, and the fact that the large majority of them are played in sets of 2 at 1 arena in 1 city. And the next part is the For Now segment, where Silver gives us a little bit of hope by admitting that a 1 through 16 playoff structure makes the most sense, but that is still not a priority at this moment. Well, if it's not a priority by the end of 2018, when will it ever be? The conferences were already pretty f***ing lopsided. Then Jimmy Butler, Paul George, Melo, star after star left the East. The Rockets got fortified with another superstar in Chris Paul. There's so much talent in the Western Conference that a lot of them would have most likely ended up outside of the All-Star game if it had continued the way it was. And so immediately, what does the NBA do? They recognize that and they adjust. The Eastern-Western matchup is eliminated. Just like that, the All-Star game is fixed. And I'm asking, why do you apply this logic to the All-Star game but not the NBA playoffs, which are so much more significant? Winning a title is the ultimate goal, is the reason these teams compete and the reason these teams play basketball, to measure themselves against each other and crown a champion. The All-Star game is a single-night event to celebrate the culture of basketball and to put a pause on the stress-packed NBA season as a reminder to just enjoy the game. But it's not the pinnacle of every basketball league internationally, so why does the NBA seem to hold a higher regard for the All-Star game than the NBA playoffs and the NBA finals? The answer is simple. If half the stars out west were left off of All-Star rosters this year, then who the hell is going to watch it? People aren't going to tune in to watch Dwight Howard shooting threes, starting on the Eastern Conference team and just jacking up threes, while their favorite stars, guys like Dame, Jimmy Butler, CP3, all kinds of superstar caliber players, are nowhere to be found. Yet no matter who participates in rounds 1 and 2 of the NBA playoffs, fans are still going to be more than likely to tune in and watch the finals and watch the road to the finals. And the league isn't normally going to bend over backwards to promote fairness and balance. They'll bend over backwards to get a check. The ratings show that final viewership is not in any danger. The past 3 seasons are the highest it's been since 1998. The All-Star game, in contrast, had higher ratings as recently as 2013. And though it still amassed 7.7 million viewers last season, truth is, most of us, especially those that have been watching for some time, are losing interest in All-Star Weekend in general. And we're losing interest rapidly. You can easily anticipate what the drop-off and ratings would have been next season with all these stars out west if there wasn't this change. Not to mention that most of the hype for the 2017 All-Star Game came from people simply wanting to see Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant beef on the basketball court, unable to play together. And listen, people, it's not like I'm surprised. The league will always protect their pockets before they protect the game. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating or disappointing when they essentially rub it in our faces like this. They're saying right now, the conferences are broken, and we know this, but we're going to let it sit unless it starts to hurt our pockets. The hope is that it will. that viewership will become more vulnerable within the next couple of seasons. But with so much hype out west, even with great teams missing the playoffs, we're all going to have to at least see the teams that do battle it out. That combined with the fact that this has been going on for 18 years now, 18 fluctuating years in which every few seasons the conferences seem to be on their way to alignment and evening out until the West leaps back up to a large advantage. And following all these roster changes, I'd be shocked if the West doesn't win another 80 to 100 more games against the East in 2018. But the problem remains. Playoff ratings took a drop the exact same year in 1998 that the Western Conference began to take over. Clearly, these must be linked to some extent, yet the NBA has refused to do anything about it up until this point and has now even prioritized the All-Star Game over what really matters. So like I said, manage your expectations. This sort of change will not happen overnight. But don't get me wrong, I don't only like the new All-Star Game format, I f***ing love it. Obviously, it was created to stimulate the entertainment and the experience, and it'll make for some added excitement and flair to the weekend that has been dwindling in both for years. It'll also go a long way to prevent miserable lineup selections that get voted in by fans, or almost voted in by fans. Voting a single captain for each conference should be much easier to control than all 5 starters. The player with the most votes will almost always be the most popular, most widely regarded player in that conference. LeBron James, Stephen Curry come to mind. But more on that in a future video. No spoilers. Like always, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave it a like. Let me know how you feel down below. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new. It's been another broadcast from your man Clay Allen. Always remember, stay ballin'. And I'm signing off. Peace.
Clay, you told your coach after game 5 you didn't want to go home, and you definitely didn't want to go home tonight. I know you're a great shooter, and obviously Steph's a great shooter as well, but the shots you were taking tonight, it was like you were barely touching the ball and it was going up.
Allen for 3. Yes! Wow. To the rescue. Ray Allen, 19. Win or lose time. Allen for 3. In the fourth quarter for Ray Allen, 22 on the night, 6 of 10 from three-point land. When you needed it most, Ray Allen delivered.
Leaves Ray Allen wide open. How many times has that man done that in his career? Wow.